Alfred Molina, Eddie Redmayne, Red Stars. You guys are the whole show, and you got to carry this thing. And you portray Mark Rothko, and you portray this fawning assistant who never gets tired of his. You remain enraptured with this heroic character of yours, even when you see his feet of clay and he abuses you. So what do you see in this guy? What does your character see in Rothko? Because he's not a nice guy.
He's not necessarily a nice man, but I think there's that sense that when you're starting out in any profession that you look through osmosis or any way possible to try and sort of glean from people you respect and admire. And I think at the point that the play starts, Rothko was already a very prominent artist and almost an icon of status. So this boy is aware that he will take the punches and the blows because the moments of wisdom, of which there are plenty, that he gleans from this man will be completely worthwhile.
It's hard to portray somebody who is this difficult in terms of personality types and make us want to root for him and love him as an audience. What kind of a challenge was that for you dramatically?
Well, I mean, it's a great role and it's beautifully written, and I think one of the great qualities of Rothko was that he was much more interested in being taken seriously rather than anything about being liked or admired. I think his own paradoxes about success and the nature of success and what it costs to be successful and what it takes away from the artist and all that sort of thing. I think he struggled with that all his life, and certainly ever since he became, from his first exhibition when he became a bit of a star, he struggled with that all the time. And in the play, the relationship between Rothko and his assistant Ken constantly changes. It's master pupil, it's father son, it's sort of mentor and mentee. There's a sort of it shifts and changes until they both become, in a sense, equal. In as much as Ken's sort of journey is going that way and Rothko's is going like this, and they kind of meet in the middle. And there's this moment, wonderful moment in the play when you become aware of the mutual respect, hard won, but nevertheless mutual between them.
But not mutual at all. Let me take issue with that because
Really?
Ken is an aspiring artist in this play, and you never look at his art.
No, that's true.
And and so.
But I do something more important.
What?
I actually release him in order to create his own art.
So do you get a sense that when Ken goes on at the end of this play that he goes on to be a great artist, or was this just a man who brushed up against greatness?
I think that I absolutely believe one of the things that John picks out in this piece is the idea of the cyclical nature of art and life, and the idea of generations superseding one and the next, and certainly I believe a few of the audience members have come in and seen, even though this guy is fresh and green, by the time that he confronts Rothko at the end, a few friends who saw it said they got a glimpse of Ken in 20 years' time doing the same to someone else, and so that pleased me. I think that certainly there is a mutual respect and a sort of symbiosis at one point by which the two people sort of need.
Yeah, right at the end of the play, Rothko says, "You've got to get out there, make your own world, find your own contemporaries. Listen, kid, you've spent enough time. You don't need to spend any more time here with me." And I think that really is the greatest gift any teacher or any artist can give anyone coming up behind. The fact that you can actually hand it over, I think is evidence of that mutual respect, and also it's an understanding of through this young man who does stands up to him. He learns something. They both learn something, and I think that's what makes the play so satisfying eventually. Because otherwise, without it, it would be just an evening of an older guy bullying a younger guy, and with no great sort of reward at the end. But in the end, there is a terrific reward in the sense that they're both, in a sense, liberated.
I also appreciated this play for doing something that I thought was impossible before it began, which was giving me real insight into Rothko as a painter. Here, as a layman looking at these canvases, we see triangles on a canvas. And this play is 2 hours of us trying to give us insights. Rothko believed that he had all these grandiose expressions for what he was doing, but in the course of watching this play, I started to understand and believe it too.
Yeah, well, I think he's he was an intellectual. He was very rigorous with himself intellectually. I think he demanded a great deal of rigor from others. and was constantly disappointed, and which is the terrible thing when you set such high standards for yourself, you're going to live a life of great disappointment. It stands to reason.
What do you think of him now that you've been living in his skin?
Well, I love the man, and I never met him, obviously, but I've got a tremendous respect for his honesty, for his rigour, the astringent demands that he made on himself and his art, that his complete refusal to compromise. I think it's something to any creative person should aspire to.
Eddie, you won the Olivier Award. That's Britain's equivalent of the Tony. This is your first experience on Broadway, right?
It is, yeah.
Right. So now you're entering our awards arena. What's your perspective as an outsider coming in here?
Well, I suppose it's taken a huge amount more seriously here. There seem to be more awards. There seem to be sort of lunches that are associated with the awards, and some of those are about sort of press and marketing the play, I think, and some are about, actually sort of lunches with the community, the theatre community on Broadway. And certainly one of the things that's blown me away about working here is the sense of community on Broadway. I don't know whether it's that geographically all the theatres are closer together, or we share a sort of back alley with God of Carnage and Phantom of the Opera, and so you're always stumbling across other people. But because of all the theatres are so close, you really do bump into other actors, see other actors, and that's less. I don't know how you find it, Fred, but less apparent in London than it is.
It's not quite so. In London doesn't seem to be quite so concentrated somehow, and I think that does make it very special. Yeah.
Well, at least you're not both nominated in the same category, because that could have happened. You're almost on stage an equal amount of time. You're a few minutes less than him, so that means you could both possibly win.